Welcome to this episode of Scale App Podcasts. I'm Dan Eisenberg, and welcome. I'm here with two co-founders whom I've known for a long period of time. Disclosure, I'm a serial investor in their company called UENI. And we're off and running. Remember, we're going to keep this relatively short, preferably around 20 minutes, so that all of you listeners can listen to this Scale App podcast on your way to the supermarket or to work or exercising the gym. So we're going to get right into it. But let's start. I'm here with Christine and Anh Vam Phu, the two co-founders. Again, disclosure, Anh was a student of mine at Harvard Business School many more years ago than I care to think about. And Christine is also an alumna of Harvard, of HBS, and that's where they met. So it's also interesting we have here a husband and wife, co-founders and co-managers of UENI. I'm sure we're going to get into that as well. But first of all, Christine and then Anh, just a thumbnail sketch, 25 words less. Who are you?
Yeah, I'm one of the founders, and before starting UENI, I was in the energy business, most recently as an oil trader, American originally.
And you're living now?
Now in London. We're both in London, and the business is headquartered here, but the U.S. is our primary market.
Got it. Anh.
Yeah, so I'm from Vu. I joined UENI with Christine about a little bit over 10 years ago. Before that, I was in private equity, investing in different subscription businesses, industrials for many years. But I decided that I wanted to do something for real and not just sit on boards and command management, but like trying to do it myself.
And one of the things that is interesting about UENI is that it's international. Sort of the DNA of UENI is international. As Christine said, the main markets in the United States. It wasn't always like that, I don't think.
That's true.
It's evolved, but also their backgrounds are international. Anh speaks many languages fluently.
12 and counting.
I know. I hate to say. Just when I say the number,
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah, but it's actually true, right? Some of the things we're going to say on this podcast actually are true. So we know a little bit about you as people. So give the sort of the elevator pitch of UENI, either one of you. What is UENI?
UENI builds any small business a fully functional website in 7 days for under $100. And then we work with you to help your business grow. And so the micro business owner, so the sole proprietor, the small team is our only customer. And we work with them to really launch their website and then manage it and help them with their marketing.
Anything you want to change or add to that, Anh?
No, I think it's perfect.
So there are other companies that do similar, it would sound very similar. How do you differentiate yourselves?
Yeah,
why are you better?
In theory, it's a competitive space. In practice, the market isn't very well served. So this small business owner, so in the US, for example, there are 33 million small businesses. About a third of them don't have a website at all. And about a third don't like the website they have. The solutions that are out there right now, you have do-it-yourself website builders. They take a lot of time, knowledge, and they're complex. Like they're proper tech platforms in their own right. So you have to really get stuck in and become an expert. Small business owners don't have time for that. So as a result, only 1% to 2% of business owners that start on those platforms actually launch their website successfully. So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is the agency, the web developer. The minimum ticket price there is $1,500, $2,000. A lot of small business owners aren't in the market for that, to take that risk, especially in the early days. So what we do is at a very affordable cost and very quickly and with limited effort on the part of the business owner, we build them something that's very professional, does the job of collecting leads, taking bookings, selling their products, getting their name out there. It gets the job done very quickly and efficiently. So the success rate is really what differentiates us from the others.
Sounds a little bit like this monster big company called Wix. How do you differentiate yourselves from, let's say, Wix? I think Wix is probably the 500-pound gorilla in this market. Is that right?
They are the biggest website builder. Anh, you want to jump on that one?
And feel free, take the gloves off. I'm not sure Avishai is going to be listening to my podcast.
Wix is an amazing company, obviously.
Oh, Wix is an amazing company. I think that in terms of, and we actually work with Wix, but that's at a later stage. The point is that Wix is great technologically, and if you know exactly what you want, if you are quite skilled in doing, building websites, have a good design view, and really know exactly what you want and have the time to do it. Wix is probably the best platform out there. You can customize a lot of things without needing to really need code, but close to that, you can really customize everything. But
okay, so now you've been very polite. So now you've been up down very polite. Why is UENI, let's say, better or different significantly?
we're not really a website builder. We do it for the businesses. The business comes to us because they are type poor, they don't have the knowledge, and really, cannot get it done for a reasonable price because they cannot afford to hire an agency. So we're really, if you think about us, a little bit like a scaled agency model, helping small businesses get it done. And that's why only 1% on Wix will actually become a website, maybe 2%. In our case, from people who sign up, more than 45% actually will become paid subscriber and have a website launched with us.
So your economics are very, very different. Can you both now just tell the story of UENI just by the numbers? What can you tell us? Of course, it's a private company, so you're not going to reveal everything. What can you tell us about UENI by the numbers?
Well, I guess one thing I'd say is, we began because we realized the problem of connecting normal people to small businesses was not very well solved. And we took a page from Yelp and we said, you have to start on the supply side of things. So we set out to digitize the small businesses, and we said, okay, well, when we start to do that, then we can connect that with consumers. We understood very early on that small business owners don't have a big budget. Okay, so we would have to get our cost point of building the site to be low enough that we could charge a small amount of money. So
and still make some.
And so from early days, that drive to how do you combine tech with the need to incorporate service, because this is a small business owner, they need some hand-holding, they need it done for them, as Anh says, right? So, one of the real differentiations with Wix is you open Wix and it's this colossus of a platform in terms of the editor. What do I do? How do I start? Even with their AI builders and whatever, it's like, it's still really complicated.
But I want to make sure, but I'll interrupt, just make sure, give us 3, 4, 5 numbers that say how big is UENI.
Oh, well, look, I mean, from early days, we started building sites, and this is kind of where I was going, that, right now we've helped over 700,000 businesses to get online. And we've been building kind of that scale and that pace in terms of our build as we've become more mature as a tech platform, as a service company, because we know, like, if the problem we're trying to solve is small businesses, this is a scaled business. We have to do it at a low cost point, and we also have to deliver a lot of businesses very fast. Most agencies, a large agency will do 20 or 25 in a month. So to give you a perspective, we do thousands in a month.
Okay, and you have how many roughly? So you've had in the past. We're going to get to the transitions and the in just a few minutes, but your model now is paying customers. Yeah. So how much? Some idea of paying customers? Some revenue? Are you profitable? Not profitable?
Yes.
I mean, my listeners want to get to the nitty gritty. So
the first few years of our business, we were doing different things. We had a marketplace at first, then we pivoted to a freemium model. Under the freemium model, we had massive acquisition to the point of like 3,000 a day of new businesses coming on board. Then I personally would never advise any business to go on a freemium model. I will say that there's a handful of businesses that you could count on one hand that have made it work. And that was a big transition point for us to move away from freemium to a pay to play. And the big reason for transition is the quality of customer. But when we moved from freemium to a pay to play, obviously the numbers came down a bit, but the quality of the customer, the seriousness, the commitment to their business went up dramatically. Today we have about 45,000 paying customers on the platform. And we just see that even that level of commitment that we ask for, it's like $79 up front, it makes a difference in signaling, that yes, I'm there to do something with you. I'm going to give you my information. I'm going to start this journey.
What you built the website? Why do I have to keep paying? What do you do for me?
There's quite a lot of ongoing service. So you could think about, like, first of all, the tech platform, the hosting, all the tech updates. This is all looked after. Plus, they get to interact with us if they need any help with their site. And, we are a SaaS business, so there are 3 tiers of service. And, the service can include asking our team to edit their site on an ongoing basis, or even working with one of our marketers to grow their business online by doing all kinds of campaigns, digital campaigns, and so on. So it's a service component that really is the value unlock, because you can have a website, but a website's only going to take you so far. You need to do something with it.
Do you have things like payment services or other kinds of things like that you offer third party?
We do, and offering a curated list of third-party products and services is a big thing for us. And
you do it, but you do it. Yeah,
we do.
That's part of your business model.
It is, and it's a big growth strategy for us.
Okay. Well, remind me, we have to get to partnership as a growth strategy, but I want to go back a little bit in history. And first of all, you're working together, you and I, and you've been together as a couple for a long time. Along the way, I know you had a couple of children, and your roles in the company have also changed a little bit over time, if I understand correctly. Just say a little bit about that. What roles did you have, let's say 6, 7 years ago? What are the roles now?
And what do you think?
Well, one role I always had, because my background was in finance, is to take care of all the finances, financing, running a lot of the analytical numbers. That was always my role. And then, we evolved from being very involved in operations. And, I remember having designed some of the processes to build websites to today, frankly speaking, not fully understand anymore how it worked, which is a great thing as a founder. You should have your team be able to do it without you. And today, I would say we separate the world in, again, much more engaged in operations and finance, of course. And Christine is really with partnerships, marketing, getting the clients into the door, and really. But there's so many things to do, and as a small team, very lean team, we have to do basically a lot of everything ourselves. The one thing I have to say, in terms of 6, 7 years ago, we used to have a big office that was centralized. That was pre-COVID. And that has become much more distributed. So I think that has changed a lot of things. So one thing I never have to do again is making sure the coffee machine works, or a lot of the toilet stuck. I mean, these are the things as a founder you have to do, which are today, thank God, no longer a problem.
Sure, not big Elon Musk back to the office people.
We do. I mean, I do see the value, and I think we have a small team in London. Some of the management, and we stick by a minimum of 2 days a week policy. We do organize for our different distributed teams get-togethers pretty regularly through the year. That's important, like the innovation and the culture. One thing we do share as a responsibility is looking after the product. And I think that one of the through lines why we've stuck together throughout this and been really, I think, successful as partners is that we really have a common vision and in the fundamentals of what we're trying to do as a business and where the product should go. And obviously, that's really dynamic, especially now. So that's a shared responsibility.
Christine, you're more now outward facing, I think.
Yeah.
And Anh is marketing.
I look after marketing and BD, but more outward
BD,
facing.
business. Okay, let's go into business development a little bit, because that's one of the things that's really changed in the last couple of years in UENI. Talk a little bit about your partnerships and why is that? Look, first of all, give us an idea. What's the scale of revenues? I know you can just give us some idea of where do we put UENI on the map in terms of size?
Yeah, we're doing about 10 million recurring.
And you're sort of borderline approaching or getting ready to surpass profit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's really important because this podcast, we're focusing on companies that are not your startups looking for who they are. These are companies that already have found out who they are, and now they're just being more and more of it. One of your ways of doing this is in the partnership. So tell us, first of all, why is that important for your scaling? Why are partnerships so critical, and what some of them are, and what you've learned about how to form them? Because you've formed some pretty important ones. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to say one thing before we talk about partnerships, which is I think what is very important to know about how people and investors and, in general, the space is thinking about growth versus profitability. We had decided about almost 3 years ago that we wanted to be profitable and with a good growth, but not just grow for the sake of growth. I remember in the years of 2021 when people were raising crazy.
Yeah, it was so crazy.
To grow just as much as you could. And a lot of these companies have scaled down, shut down. I mean, I would say most of them actually were not successful. And we made the decision, and painfully, that means also we had a little bit less growth than we could have in theory had. But I think we're in a position today to be, approaching profitability this year for sure, profitable, cash positive, due to the fact that we're disciplined and trying to do that. And I think it's very, very difficult. And I would say most of for founders, I really recommend if you want to be able to weather a downturn in financing or in general to have more control over your destiny, moderate your growth and, have a way to at least a path to profitability rather than just focusing on growth or growth rate. So one rule, the VCs and I talked to some friends and investors, how they think about that model. Usually what they call is a rule of 40. So rule of 40 means that, one example, if you grow at 100%, then, you are allowed to have a negative margin of 60. I mean, it's not really correct math, but this is an approximation. If you grow at 40%, you need to be at 0. If you go at 20%, you have to have a 20% margin. This is a rule of 40. It's not 100% always adhered to. And unless you're a pure AI company today in this environment, you will not be able to raise any money, and your attractiveness as a business is not there if you don't hit this rule of 40.
Got it. And by the way, you have raised significant amounts of money from investors. Can you give us some idea of the range of money you've raised?
Raised about a little bit over 30 million.
30 million.
A lot of yes, and a lot of that was sinfully early days where we, I would say, have not been as efficient with the utilization of cash as we are doing now. The last 3.5 years, we have raised only about 2 million, and we didn't need much more because we have been extremely cautious with capital, and I would say it was very efficient, and we don't plan to be as inefficient with cash as we were in the beginning.
And as you've now approaching break even, you have optionality. Do you want to raise money? If you do, it'll be for growth, but you don't have to
Exactly.
if you don't see the real path to growth. And that's where I think, so you're talking about quality of scale up versus quantity of scale up. And I like that distinction very much. And I accompanied that process, and I know it really wasn't easy. I want to come back to the partnerships that you're forming and how do you view those partnerships in terms of your ability to now significantly and profitably scale up beyond the 10 million range?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the partnerships really just are an unlock into the, shared communities of small business users, right? Like, people have a trusted relationship with, name a partner. We've recently joined forces with Walmart Business.
That's a little partner.
So they, they have a membership service for business owners that, they pay an annual fee. And in exchange, they get access to a number of, services, benefits at Walmart, but also access to partner offers that are kind of exclusive to that platform. And, the trust that we can leverage by working with them, and it's a distribution, it's a marketing channel, obviously. This is kind of another level of marketing. And
so Walmart, do you have others that you can mention in addition to Walmart? Or are you going to keep us hanging in suspense?
no, I mean, it runs a gamut, and we've everything from like funding organizations like Hello Alice to small business accountants like 1-800 Accountants, insurance providers like Simply Business. In the UK, we've partnered with Amex in the past. So those service providers that, we have a curated list. It's not, absolutely everybody under the sun. It's where we feel there's a strong product fit for our customer base and where we think that, it's a shared customer base. We have, our partnership approaches have become more, I'd say, robust over time. So initially, it's kind of we tend to approach our partnerships with a cross promotional in a cross promotional way. So we know their product is a good fit for our members and vice versa, and maybe we'll do some communication campaigns. Now we're using APIs and widgets that we've built to improve kind of the user experience. We can really embed our solutions into their product, into their dashboards, into their checkout flows, because it's such a natural thing for so many small business owners early in their journey. Pick the point, whether it's incorporation, whether it's I'm choosing a business bank account. There are various moments.
The supplies, buying my supplies.
Exactly. And it's because it's not only new businesses. I mean, we cater to a lot of them, but it's also, every 2 to 3 years, there's a really great Adobe study that talks about this. Like every 2 to 3 years, small business owners know that they need a revamp of their website. And that revamp process is very time consuming and costly. And 40% of our customers are coming to us with an existing website. So we serve this revamp market extensively. And so, it's really reaching, kind of amplifying the brand and efficiently reaching this audience through products that they already use.
Do you think that, are you,
Let me
go ahead.
jump in here.
Sure.
I think this point is important because having endorsement, because you have way too many options in theory, what to do, website builder, this agency, that agency, and having an association with the right brand, right product fit, trust is important. We're not a huge company that can do a Super Bowl ad. We're not a household name yet. Hopefully one day. That's why having this association with the right products that serve well the customer is helpful. Because don't forget that the biggest cost driver for growth, as well as just generally acquiring customer, is marketing costs. Marketing costs being either spent on paid media or now more and more spending with partners, where we have rev share deals, we have some CPA deals, but this is
CPA. Tell us CPA is
cost per acquisition. Essentially,
okay.
we get paid, or we pay our partners a fee for introduction if the customer becomes our subscriber. But the key thing is it's not only about that, it's also about the fact that there's more predictability, you have more volume, it's less you're less dependent on the competitiveness of, let's say, social media or social media like Facebook or Google bidding, which can change from day to day and can be quite costly with big swings.
So
That's a really key point.
do you see these partnerships and other activities? Do you see UENI being 10 times bigger and profitable? And let's say those, now that you've described it, those 10 million that you have now in revenues, that you could really call recurring revenues, right? There's subscriptions of various kinds. Do you ever see this being $100 million? Let's say 10 times bigger, just for example.
Just to give you a picture that we're on the same page here. we have, as mentioned before, we have a conversion rate of, close to 50%. So
That's crazy. Wait a second. Hang on. A conversion rate of 50%. Explain that, because that is insane.
from sign up, from people who sign up, who then become a paid subscriber, is close to 50%. And the reason for that is because we have two things. One is a 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. And we actually do refund people without any questions. We have a quite low single digit refund rates. And if you look at our, for example, review side, Trustpilot, we have a 4.8 score out of 5. So it's clear that we actually adhere to that. And it's quite important. And it's quite easy for the customers. They don't have to do much. You have to respond to a questionnaire we have. And on that basis, we actually do all the work. Unlike, let's say, a website builder that has 1-2%, conversion rates. So if you think about the universe of how many, how many leads that could be converted just using, having a little bit bigger marketing funnel, that would be amazing. Second of all, Christine mentioned 33 million small businesses alone in the US. There are 33 million, and a third of them don't have a website. A third of them needs a renewed. The market is enormous, and we could benefit a lot of that. So I think with the partnerships and accessing a bigger pool, 10x is not the right number. I think that we, in theory, could be 100x, but we have to be ambitious. But it will take some time to get there. We need to become a household name. We need to become more efficient as we grow.
That's really exciting. I want to come back to the experience that you had in abandoning the freemium model and reducing the quantity, but increasing dramatically the quality of your customers in a variety of ways. That's a step that companies are really, entrepreneurs, business, that's a very scary step to take, right? Can you just say a little bit about that? I understand the rationale, but in terms of execution and maybe even how you dealt with your emotions of seeing all of these users disappear, what was that like?
There are a couple things. One is that we actually had really good conversion rates on a cohort basis. So you could imagine 100 free users would come in and 10 to 12 would sign up, would subscribe.
Which is still an insane number.
Which is really good. Yeah, but what we saw is, the lifeblood of any SaaS is churn. And, you live or die by that. That is the validation of your product and product market fit. And for us, it was just too high. So at the end of the day, you either are drinking too much of your Kool-Aid and you think, I'm a small company, freemium is the only way I'm going to get my brand out there, or you're going to say, I'm going to focus. We kind of reduced our markets at the same time. COVID kind of happened at the same time as well. So we hunkered down and said, US, UK are really the markets we know how to play in. From a paid media and partnership strategy, that's where we were having the most traction and, where we could really kind of go deep. And we also questioned, are we undervaluing what we are putting out on the market simply because we're labeling it free? And we were. And so, and of course, all that money was being reinvested in the product and it accelerated our development. So, when we looked at the ledger of the risks and benefits, the benefits were clearly there. Because if your churn is too high, you can't keep doing what you're doing. And churn dramatically came down. AOV, CLV went dramatically up. And, sometimes you just have to make a hard pivot. But we ended up serving customers better with a better product and frankly, wasting people's time less because, the serious customers are the ones who are working with us. And so, yeah, it's something that has to be done, I think, when the numbers show you that.
It almost sounds like freemium for a lot of companies is kind of like a drug that is.
I think the free users, yeah, I mean, this probably better than anybody. The free users, I think, were valued differently 5 years ago, even 3-4 years ago. Now, just what is the quality, what is really the monetization opportunity of those free users? I really question it.
I mean, look, there's a second component to that, which is we are not 100% tech business. We are highly utilizing tech. We are highly tech-enabled business, but there's still human behind it, and that's a whole I would say, spiel and our uniqueness, how we service a customer. And then, there's a quality control, there's something oversight, and that has a cost. It's not a self-serve model. That's why freemium just simply cannot be scaled and works well enough for that on top. And the second piece is probably it's B2C more, workable versus B2B. In a B2C scenario, you can have millions of customers, whereas in B2B, having the size we have 45,000 paid customers, it starts to become a big number, and these numbers just don't work in a freemium model. We don't no longer believe in that.
There's a lot more to talk about. Maybe we're going to have to schedule another podcast with both of you. But our listeners have now gotten to where they're going. They're sitting in the parking lot right now just to finish up this exciting podcast. So let's start to wrap things up, and let's do it in the following way. Think of a conversation that you're having with a 10-year younger Christine or a 10-year younger Anh, starting off on a similar kind of journey. And just what would be the one thing that you would tell your younger self that would make this journey a better one?
Unit economics have to work day one.
Don't sort of put it out. I'll get to that later.
No, that is the thing.
And I would say choose an easier market than small businesses. Probably the hardest. I think this is, let me say this. I think everybody every few years tries to crack a small business kind of universe. I'm aware of people within Facebook, Google, who have done it it's always a cycle. 5 years, they get really excited. They do something, they fail, and then they abandon, then recycle again. This is an extremely difficult market to serve. People who are time poor, cash poor, but still quite demanding, used to everything being free on the consumer side, because the small businesses is very similar to a consumer, is a very tricky market to crack. It's a huge price, but it's very high difficulty. So if I had to give myself an advice, I probably would not have started a business in this pace again, knowing what I know today.
No, but now that you're over the hump, your competitors, I think what you're really telling is competitors stay away because this is so complicated.
Barriers to entry are very high.
We've got this covered now. The market's ours. Stay away. It's big. We've got all the difficult things behind us, or a lot of them, not all of them. There's always more.
We're not over the hump. We're definitely
Yeah.
not over the hump.
There's a lot to do.
And I would say and we can be dead anytime. Even big companies can fail. And I think that, be always vigilant. There's maybe one more advice: cost. Manage cost from day one, to the point of Christine's unit economics. Keep your fixed costs as low as possible, because it's all about flexibility. There are days where you can, cash in and have a lot of money raised, and we raised a lot of money. It was great. And there are days that are very, very difficult. And I just never want to be in a situation where you talk to your employees, your team, your customer, and say, we screwed up and we don't have money, and you suffer for your product, and you can't serve you. And we don't want to be in this position. And that's why, be just very vigilant on your cost.
And I think that it's fair to say that a significant amount of that $30 million that you raised went to learning that lesson, right?
Yes.
Okay. Christine Tellien, Anh Vam Phu, co-founders and co-managers of the amazing company called UENI. Thank you very much for participating in a Scale Up podcast. We went a little bit longer than I'd planned, but this has just been exciting, and I'm sure there's a lot more we can talk about. We wish you luck, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of UENI in the future.